If there is one healthy food I think women over 60 deserve to understand more clearly, it is fish. Because fish can absolutely be one of the most nourishing things you put on your plate. It can support your heart, your brain, your joints, your muscles, even your mood. But not all fish are equal, and that is where so many women get tripped up. They hear that fish is healthy, so they assume any fish, any time, any source, any preparation must be a smart choice. And sweetheart, it is not always that simple. I want to be very careful with this conversation because I do not believe in fear-based food advice. I am not here to make you scared of your dinner. I am not here to tell you that one bite of the wrong thing ruins your health. But I am here to say that after 60, details matter more. The body becomes less forgiving of chronic inflammation, lower quality food, toxin exposure, and the little habits we repeat week after week without thinking about them. I know how easy it is to want simple rules. Good fish, bad fish, eat this, never eat that. But what I want to offer you today is something better than food fear. I want to offer you discernment. Because when you choose wisely, fish can be one of the most beautiful tools for aging well. It can give you protein to protect muscle, omega-3 fats to support the brain and calm inflammation, nutrients that help with bones, energy, and nervous system health. And if you choose poorly too often, you may end up eating a product that gives you far less benefit than you thought, or comes with concerns that are worth paying attention to. So tonight, I want to walk you through 8 fish choices every woman over 60 should know about. 4 I would be cautious with, and 4 I would gladly welcome to the table more often. Not because I want you obsessed, because I want you informed. When I was in the thick of my own midlife health unraveling, I learned something that changed everything for me. It was not always the dramatic things making me feel worse. Sometimes it was the everyday decisions I thought were healthy, but had never really questioned. That is why I care so much about these conversations. Women in this season of life deserve clarity, not confusion. So let us start with the fish I would be more careful about. The first one is imported farmed catfish. Now, catfish itself is not automatically evil. I do not talk about food that way, but source matters. Fish raised in poorly regulated conditions can come with more concerns around water quality, overcrowding, and what the fish are fed. That matters because if you are eating fish for nourishment, you want actual nourishment, not a bargain that quietly gives you less than you think. For me, this is less about panic and more about standards. If you enjoy catfish, I would much rather see you choose domestic sources you trust than grab imported options just because they are cheap and convenient. Especially after 60, when inflammation, digestion, and overall resilience matter more, quality counts. The second one is large tuna, especially the kinds that tend to be higher in mercury. This is one that surprises people because tuna has such a healthy reputation. It is lean, it is easy, it has been living in lunchboxes and pantries for decades. But bigger fish that live longer and sit higher on the food chain can accumulate more mercury over time. And that matters more for older adults because we are not just thinking about one sandwich. We are thinking about repeated exposure over months and years. Now, I am not saying you can never eat tuna again. I am saying I would be thoughtful with it. I would not make high mercury tuna a regular habit. If you love tuna, smaller varieties in moderation make more sense than treating it like an everyday health food. That word moderation matters so much in nutrition, and I think we have forgotten how wise it is. The third one is king mackerel. Now, this is important because not all mackerel are the same. Some smaller mackerel can be a lovely choice. But king mackerel is one of those fish that tends to come up again and again on lists of fish to limit because of mercury concerns. And if you are standing at the seafood counter just seeing the word mackerel, you may not realize there is a difference. This is why I always tell women to ask one more question. Which kind is this? Where is it from? wild or farmed, imported or domestic. You are allowed to know what you are buying. You are allowed to be discerning. That is not being fussy. That is caring for yourself. And the fourth one is farmed tilapia, especially when the source is unclear or low quality. Again, I want to be balanced here. Not every piece of tilapia is a disaster, but tilapia is often chosen because it is mild, cheap, and easy. The problem is that depending on how it is raised, it may be lower in the very omega-3 fats people think they are getting from fish in the first place. And if you are eating fish for anti-inflammatory benefits, brain support, and heart support, then a fish with a less impressive nutritional profile is simply not your best use of a meal. I think that is the better question, really. Not just, can I eat this, but is this the best choice for what my body needs now? That one question can change so much. Because after 60, many women are not just eating for calories. They are eating for clarity, for strength, for lower inflammation, for stronger bones, for muscle protection, for energy, for independence. Food becomes less about filling the stomach and more about supporting the life you want to keep living. So now let us shift into the hopeful part of this conversation, because there are some truly wonderful fish choices that can serve you beautifully in this season of life. The first one is wild Pacific cod. I love cod for women over 60 because it is simple, gentle, and useful. It gives you high-quality protein without being overly heavy or oily. And protein matters more than many women realize. Every year after midlife, muscle becomes easier to lose and harder to rebuild. That affects balance, metabolism, bone protection, mobility, and confidence. If you want to stay strong enough to carry groceries, get up from the floor, travel well, and move through your life independently, protein is not optional. Cod can be a wonderful way to support that, especially for women who do not enjoy stronger tasting fish. It is mild, versatile, and easy to digest for many people. Bake it gently, add olive oil, lemon, herbs, maybe pair it with vegetables or potatoes, and you have a meal that actually supports aging well. The second one is sardines. Now, I know sardines are not glamorous. They are not the fish people post on beautiful restaurant plates. But goodness, they are powerful. These tiny fish are rich in omega-3 fats. And because they are small and low on the food chain, they tend to come with much lower mercury concerns than larger predatory fish. That is one of the things I love most about them. They are humble, affordable, and deeply nourishing. Sardines also bring calcium when you eat the soft bones, vitamin D, B12, and protein. For women worried about bone loss, mood, memory, and inflammation, that is a pretty beautiful package. You can mash them with avocado, add lemon and herbs, put them on toast, toss them into a salad. They do not need to be fancy. They just need to show up more often. And there is a life lesson in that too, is there not? So many of the things that support us best are not flashy. They are simple, steady, and quietly powerful. The third one is wild Alaskan salmon. This one gets a lot of attention, and honestly, it deserves it. Salmon is one of the most helpful fish for older adults because it offers those beautiful omega-3 fats that support the brain, the heart, and the joints, along with rich protein for muscle health. And when you choose wild salmon from a clean source, you are getting a food that truly earns its reputation. For women in menopause and beyond, I think salmon is especially supportive because inflammation tends to become a bigger player in how we feel. Stiff joints, sluggish recovery, achiness, brain fog, mood shifts. Omega-3 rich foods do not fix everything, but they can absolutely be part of a body that feels calmer and more supported. I also love salmon because it feels satisfying, and I think satisfaction matters. Women who are under-eating protein or living on little bits and bites all day often feel more tired, more snacky, and less steady than they realize. A real serving of salmon with vegetables and healthy fats can be deeply nourishing in a way a random bowl of cereal at night simply cannot. And the fourth one is rainbow trout. If salmon gets all the glory, trout is the quiet, graceful cousin who deserves more applause. Trout is rich in omega-3s, gives you quality protein, and tends to be mild and approachable for women who want something nourishing without an overpowering flavor. I think trout is one of those fish that makes healthy eating feel elegant instead of complicated. It is easy to cook, lovely with herbs and lemon, and can fit beautifully into a simple weekly routine. And at this stage of life, I am always asking, what can women actually sustain? Because the best nutrition plan is not the one that sounds impressive. It is the one you will actually keep doing. So if I pull all of this together, here is the heart of it. If you are over 60 and trying to protect your heart, brain, bones, muscles, and energy, do not just tell yourself, I eat fish, so I'm covered. Get a little more specific than that. Be more cautious with low-quality imported farmed fish and larger high-mercury fish like king mackerel and certain tuna. Lean more often toward fish like wild cod, sardines, wild salmon, and trout. That shift alone can make your meals far more supportive. And please remember, preparation matters too. A beautiful piece of salmon loses some of its magic when it is deep fried and paired with a pile of processed sides. I want you thinking in terms of a whole meal that loves you back. Fish baked or grilled gently, olive oil, herbs, vegetables, maybe beans, maybe potatoes, maybe a salad, maybe soup. Nourishment, not punishment. That is the Diana Ashton way, truly. Not rigid rules, loving wisdom. I also want to say this for the women who feel overwhelmed every time nutrition gets more complicated. Take a breath. You do not need to overhaul your whole kitchen tonight. You do not need to memorize every seafood chart on the internet. Start with one better choice. That is enough. Maybe you swap canned tuna every day for sardines twice a week. Maybe you replace tilapia with cod. Maybe you try salmon on Sundays. Maybe you ask one more question at the fish counter than you usually do. Small choices, repeated consistently, change health in a very real way. I have seen this over and over again in women in my community. Not because one magical superfood saves them, but because they begin treating food like information for the body. They stop eating on autopilot. They begin asking, will this support the woman I am becoming? That is such a powerful question after 60, because age is not only about avoiding illness, it is about protecting the life inside your years. Your ability to think clearly, to move confidently, to enjoy your family, to laugh with your friends, to wake up with energy, to trust your body more, not less. And food is part of that story. So if you take one thing from me today, let it be this. Fish can absolutely be one of the best foods for aging well, but choose it with your eyes open. Do not assume every fish is equally healing just because it comes from the sea. Source matters. Size matters, quality matters, frequency matters, and you matter. You have spent your whole life caring for others. It is time to care for yourself. That means reading labels, asking questions, choosing better when you can. Not perfectly, just more consciously. Age is just the beginning, my love. Vibrant does not have an age limit. And sometimes vibrant living looks less like chasing the next supplement and more like choosing a better piece of fish for dinner. So now I would love to know this. What fish do you eat most often these days? Are you a salmon woman? A cod woman? Have you tried sardines, or are you still not convinced? Tell me in the comments, because I genuinely love hearing how these conversations land in real life. And if this helped you think differently about what is on your plate, carry it with you the next time you shop, the next time you cook, the next time you sit down to eat. Because those ordinary decisions, made with a little more wisdom, are often the ones that build a stronger, sharper, steadier future.